In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to create a Google AdSense account using a US LLC as a non-resident. Whether you've been dealing with restrictions, 30% withholding tax, or you want to have multiple AdSense accounts to spread your risk, this video is for you. And I've set up multiple foreign AdSense accounts in the US, the UK, and more countries as a non-resident, and helped YouTubers in over 15 countries successfully do the same for their channels. And if you set this up correctly, you're not just getting paid, you're building a structure that gives you more control over your revenue, your taxes, and your risk. Now here's the thing, there's a lot of conflicting information online, and that's why people either get stuck during verification or never even receive their PIN code. What I'm going to show you is the full legal setup that actually works and that you can use for the long term without running into issues. So first, let's go over what you actually need to make this work. First of all, you need a US LLC. This is your business entity and what allows you to create a US AdSense account in the first place. Then you'll need an EIN, which is your business tax ID, a US business bank account in the name of your LLC, a US business address for the PIN verification, and this part is crucial and I'll explain exactly why in a second. And finally, a US phone number for the account and bank verification. So I'll take you through everything step by step. First, we're going to set up the company and get all the requirements in place. Then we'll create the AdSense account together using that information. And lastly, we'll complete the tax information inside Google so everything is set up properly and you can actually receive your earnings. Let's start by creating our LLC to open our AdSense account in the first place. The first decision you need to make is which state to form your LLC in. And as a foreigner, you can technically choose any state, but Wyoming is hands down the best option. Wyoming has the lowest annual fees, which is $60 per year, the best privacy protection, so your personal information doesn't go on public record, and most importantly, Wyoming has 0% state income tax. For non-US residents making money through AdSense, this means you don't pay any tax in the US. So for this tutorial, we're going with Wyoming because it's the most balanced option for international business owners, and it's the state I also use for all my own LLCs. The next step is choosing a registered agent, and a registered agent is your official representative in the state where your LLC is formed, and they receive all legal and government mail on behalf of your company. Every US LLC is required to list a physical address in the state of formation, which is why a registered agent is mandatory. For non-US residents, this step is especially important since you typically don't have a physical address or presence in the US yourself. In practice, the registered agent receives official mail for your LLC, provides you with a registered business address, and ensures your company remains compliant with the state requirements. And there are many registered agent services available, and you're free to choose whichever one you prefer. In my case, I personally use Northwest Registered Agent, and I've had very good experience with them. They handle everything professionally, and their pricing is quite reasonable, especially for internationals. If you want to follow along with the same provider I'm using, you can find a link in the description or go to buyhassle.com/Northwest. This will then bring you straight to their page where we can see $39 business formation service. Here we can click Let's Get You Started. Then the first thing we need to do here is select the entity, which you're going to leave on LLC. And for the jurisdiction, we're going to select the state of Wyoming, so right here. Then we will see the pricing of $104 for the fee in the state and a basic package fee of $39 to Northwest. Then we can click continue. Then here is the information for our company. So fill in the name for your company. I'm going to do something like Studio Heston LLC. For the business purpose, we can leave this on use generic business purpose. That's totally fine. For the second question, send a copy of any legal notices to your attorney. For most people, simply leave this on no. And then for the address, for the state records, both the physical address and mailing address, leave them on our registered agent address. Then we can click continue. This will bring us to the management. Now we have two options, member managed and manager managed. Simply leave it on member managed and then fill in your first and last name as the owner of the company. If you have multiple members, you can add them right here and fill it in. Also for the address to record with the state, simply leave it on our registered agent address just like that. Once you fill this in, we can click continue once again. There we have some recommended services and we don't need to use everything here, but what we do need is first of all the tax ID. This is the EIN number, which is the employer identification number. We're gonna need this to open business bank accounts. We also need this for AdSense, to communicate with the IRS, and basically do any practical operations with our LLC. So we do need this. There are two options. If you are a citizen of the US, this is gonna be $50. For us, it's slightly more expensive because it's more work for them. It's $200, but I still would recommend Northwest handling this for you so you don't run into any issues. Now the next part is crucial for AdSense verification, and that's specifically the premium mail service right here. And as you probably know, Google is going to send a physical PIN to your business address to verify your AdSense account. And if you cannot receive that PIN code, your AdSense account won't get verified and you cannot get paid. And when we select premium mail service right here, you're gonna get a unique address and suite number in a real commercial building. We can open this right here. As you can see, it states that in a real commercial building, and all flat mail will be digitally forwarded to your business, which means they scan it and then send it to you through your portal, which is really convenient. For the service state, we can simply do Wyoming as well to stay consistent with the state of formation. Then we have two options right here. Let's start with the delivery method. We have physical forwarding, which I do like once a week. Takes a long time, I wouldn't recommend. Simply select digital scan so you get all the mail scanned digitally. Then for the service type, we have two options. We have the premium mail forwarding. This is basically the options like I explained, but we also have the virtual office. This is $9 a month more. Here you also get a private phone line and a month-to-month office lease. Especially the phone number can be valuable. If you want to get this in one package, you can select this option. I'm also going to show you alternatives for that as well. So the premium mail forwarding option is fine too. Then we got everything here in the recommended services. I will talk slightly more about the PIN code verification in just a second, as it's really important. Then we simply want to fill in our information to complete the purchase, create our account, and then complete the purchase right here by filling in our payment details and submitting the order. The total now comes down to $363 with the mail scanning service fee of $20 per month. After you complete the purchase, Northwest starts forming your LLC. The LLC approval typically takes 1 to 2 business days in Wyoming, and the EIN processing takes about 1 to 2 weeks because they have to submit the application to the IRS on your behalf. You'll then receive several important documents once everything is processed. First, your articles of organization. This is the official proof that your LLC exists. Then your EIN number. This is your business tax ID, which you'll use for all your business operations. You also get your registered business address, which is then the official address in Wyoming through Northwest. Your LLC branding, this is the official business identity you'll be operating under, and if you selected the option, you'll also get a local Wyoming phone number. Make sure to save all of these documents because you'll need them in the next steps. Now that your LLC is set up, I want to talk a little more about the PIN verification, because this is where most people run into issues. As we know, Google is going to send a verification code to your business address, and you need to receive and enter that code inside the platform again. If you cannot receive it, your account won't get verified. The first option I showed is using Northwest Premium Mail Service. This works most of the time. They receive your mail and scan it so you can access the PIN digitally. I've used this with most setups. But I've sometimes seen issues. There were cases where Google, for some reason, doesn't send the code, or there are delays with the international forwarding. So it's always good to have some kind of backup. If you have a friend or family member in the US, you can temporarily use their address to receive the PIN, and it doesn't need to be in the same state as your LLC. When I set up my first US AdSense account a couple years ago, I used a friend's address in Florida. He received the code, sent it to me, and I verified the account and then switched the address back. A third option is using a virtual mailbox service. For this, I recommend physicaladdress.com the most, from where you can rent an address with a suite number that Google accepts. They send the code there, and then physical address will physically scan and send you the code as well. All three of these methods have been used by me and all work, just so you know what's up. The following thing we need from this list is a US bank account. This is required because when Google pays out your earnings, they need to send the money to a US bank account in the name of your LLC. The good news is that you can open a US business bank account remotely and you don't need to visit the US in person. The banks I recommend most for this are Mercury, Relay, and Airwallex. They're all designed for online businesses and are much more friendly to international business owners than traditional banks. For Mercury, for example, you can go to their site and then click Open Account. You then want to fill in the name of your company, Then add some basic information and add the EIN number like I talked about. Then the company address we got in Wyoming from Northwest. Then some information about you as the owner of the company. Then lastly, some company documents, so the articles of organization and the EIN confirmation letter. The application process takes about 10 minutes to complete and usually takes 1 to 2 business days for approval. Mercury also integrates well with accounting software and payment processors, which makes managing your business finances much easier. Now, before we create the AdSense account, there's one more thing we need, and that's a US phone number. Google and these banks require it for verification and account recovery, and a foreign number is not accepted. For this, I personally use Receive SMS, which is an online tool that lets you rent a US phone number for a monthly fee. For example, I can click order number, and as you can see, this is the fee from where I can get a US number. I already have a couple numbers right here that I use. This is my US number at the moment. I can simply fill in this phone number and receive the code here. It's not a one-time number. You gotta pay for this monthly to keep it up. And it's only used by you, so you're actually renting it. There are also alternatives like NVO, Google Voice, or certain apps that provide similar numbers. But for this option, I'll leave a link down below. Now we're ready to create the AdSense account. First of all, it's important to know that you need to create a completely new AdSense account using a new Google account. Don't try to convert an existing personal account, that will not work. You cannot convert a personal account or switch a business account to another country. You have to start fresh with a new email address that has never been associated with AdSense before. So the way I recommend creating your AdSense account is through your YouTube channel. As you can see, here I'm in one of my YouTube channels. When we go to Earn inside Studio, here we can see the YouTube Partner Program options. We can see our AdSense account. And here we want to click on change, and from here we are prompted into the right direction. Now what you don't want to do is go to adsense.com, or at least this page. If we start here, it will set you up for a website and not for YouTube, so the setup and the prompts will not be correct. So from here, simply click on change, and then here we want to click on continue. Then step 2, you will be redirected to AdSense for YouTube to complete this step. Here, do you have an existing AdSense or AdSense for YouTube account? Now what we want to do is select no, I don't have an existing account, and click continue. And then here we need to choose an email address to create our AdSense account with. And here you want to choose an email that has never been associated with AdSense before. Okay, so this then will bring us to the setup. First of all, you can see your channel URL and then your billing country or territory. And here, in this case, you want to set this to the United States. So type that in, just like that, select it. As you can see now, also the terms of service change. So we click I've read and accept the agreement. And then we want to click Setup Account. Okay, great. Then we're asked to fill in some more customer information. Now, first of all, for the account type, you want to change this from individual to organization. And then we need to fill in our business information. So fill in the name of your LLC and then the address of your LLC right here as well that you got from Northwest with your unique suite number. Okay, I just filled it in. Now we have the business name, name of the LLC, my name, address line 1, address line 2 for the suite number, the city, the state, zip code, all of your LLC. Then fill in the primary contact and then we click submit. Then next we need to verify our phone number. Now personally, for this step, I use Receive SMS like I showed before, since it's the easiest option. If you're using NVO or something else, then simply use that, of course. What I'm gonna do is simply copy this number from my portal, paste it in here. I'm gonna select text message and click send. And now we're gonna wait for the verification code. So let's see, well, it will send instantly. So let's copy the code, paste it in here and click submit, and this should be verified. Yeah, so now they're reviewing the info. This can take about 24 to 48 hours usually, from where we can then continue once we got the email. Okay, then once they reviewed it, this screen will update to this screen, and then Google will ask you to verify your identity. And you will receive an email from here. As you can see, you'll need to verify your identity to keep earning on YouTube. So here you need to provide additional information along with an image of your current government issued photo ID, like a passport or driver's license. Now they specifically state that the information, so your name, needs to exactly match the name and information you put on the application earlier. So I had to do this as well. I did this with my Dutch passport. Your foreign documents from your home country is fully accepted here. And then a couple of hours later, I received this exact email confirming that my identity verification has been successful. Your identity has been verified. Then inside my payment profile, I got this message once again. And now inside my AdSense account, we can see that the identity verification bar had been completed. Then next, I had to reach the minimum payout threshold inside AdSense, which as you can see is $100. Once you reach the threshold, as you can see, it will look something like this. Now we reached 100% and I made $336 in this month through this channel on this AdSense account. Once this is hit, you will receive an email that is saying verify your address to receive payments from Google. We sent you a personal identification number, a PIN mailer on the date to the payment address you provided to us in AdSense or AdSense for YouTube. What happens now is that this PIN code will be sent to your business address. For example, your forwarding address with Northwest. If you use their mail forwarding or virtual office option, they'll receive that letter, then scan it and send it to you digitally. Then you can simply take that code and enter it into AdSense. And in the US, this usually takes less than 3 weeks. This has been my go-to method and has worked really well with clients I've helped over the past few months. Now personally, I also want to give you an alternative method. In my case, the setup I used back then couldn't receive these PIN letters, so I changed the address to a friend's address in the US. As I mentioned, in rare cases, it can happen that the PIN code doesn't arrive or you're unable to receive it. If that happens, you can change the address directly through the same mail. As you can see in this email at the bottom, it gives you an option. If needed, you can change your permanent address by following these steps. So we simply want to click this link. This then brings you back to the AdSense where you can see your organization name and the address, as we can see. From here, we can simply update this address to that of a trusted contact like a friend or family member in the US. In my case, it then took about a week for my friend to receive the code. Once I had it, I entered it into AdSense, completed the address verification, and everything was fully approved. And after that, in the organization address section, I was able to change the address back to my actual business address without any additional verifications or issues. So those are the options that you have. Now under verification, both the identity and address verification have been completed. Now that your AdSense is fully verified, you again want to go to payments info, and here we can see the payout threshold again. So from here, we now want to add our bank account, and that is what we can do right here. We see add a payment method to receive your earnings. So you want to click add payment method. And from here, we then want to click add payment method, and then we can link our bank account. We also have other options available here, which I don't really recommend. So let's click this button. Okay, then we need to enter in the bank account details, fill in the name of your LLC, which is also the name of the bank account, select the account type, and then fill in your routing and account number of your bank. I did this with my Mercury account, and here we can see after entering your details, you'll see a test deposit for less than $1 within 3 business days. And this is going to act as a form of verification. So then I received this email that said verify your bank account, as you can see right here. So what happened? The next day I received this transaction from Google of 9 cents to my Mercury account, and then I had to fill in this exact amount back into Google as a form of verification. Then I received this email, your bank account is verified. You can now start making and receiving payments from your bank account. At this point, you've completed all the practical steps. You're now fully set up to receive payments through AdSense using your LLC. So congratulations. Okay, so we're almost there. The last thing we need to do is complete our tax information and fill in the tax forms. For this, you can go to payments info, and then under manage tax information, we can then see the mailing address, and we want to click add tax info right here and click start form. The first, what type of account is Studio Heston LLC? Here we select non-individual / entity. And then we can leave this question like it is. We select next. And then, is your entity organized or incorporated in the US? And this is quite a difficult question for us, because when I first started doing this, I always thought the answer was yes, because, well, our entity is incorporated or formed in the United States. But the form right here doesn't really account for that a disregarded entity, a single member US LLC, can also be owned by a foreigner. And what they're looking at is the beneficial owner of the company is a US person, which we are not. So here you have to select no and then click next. And then as we can see, we are being prompted to the W8 forms. We have to select W8 Ben E form. This form is most commonly used by non-US business entities. It would also be used to claim tax-treaty businesses. This also works for ours. I'll show that in a bit. Now, if you select yes here, as you can see, we are prompted to a W9 form, which is only for US persons and US corporations, while we have a US disregarded entity LLC. So here, select those options and click Start a W8 Ben E form. So here I want to fill in the name of your LLC, and here select the country or region of incorporation or organization. And what we need to fill in here is our home country. Basically what I want to know, from where is this actual LLC operated from and organized from, which is your current country. And for me, that is the Netherlands. So I select Netherlands just like that. For the entity type, we select disregarded entity. And then here we want to select, are you claiming a tax treaty as a hybrid entity? If so, complete step 3, tax treaty. We want to select this button. Then you want to add your foreign TIN and the EIN number of your LLC. Once you fill that in, we can click next. Then we have to fill in the address of our company. And as you can see, this is actually possible to be filled in the United States. So fill in the address of your LLC. And here I'm also going to select mailing address is the same. Then we can click next. And now we get the most important question, tax treaty. Are you claiming a reduced rate of withholding under a tax treaty? So US tax law may impose a 30% withholding tax on payments that are considered US sourced. This tax may be reduced or eliminated for any payee that qualifies under a relevant tax treaty. So we select yes, I am eligible. And then I'm going to say I'm a resident of the following country. This is about your personal residency, which for me again is the Netherlands. So let me select that just like that. Now for the second question, derives the item of income for which the treaty benefits are claimed. I select this option, and then the limitation on a benefit is company that meets the ownership and base erosion test. And this is because me as a Dutch resident own 100% of the LLC formed in the US. And then for the special rates, I select everything, as we can see right here, Article 13, paragraph 1, 0% rate. I select this button as well, and I'll do the same for this. Just like that, and also the same for this one. And we can see that only for the last option, with my home country, I do not have a treaty with the US here, but the ones relevant for YouTube are actually those two. And so then we can click next. So has the LLC performed any activities and services for Google within the US, or do they expect to in the future? I select no. And for the tax reporting, I simply select go paperless. And then lastly, I have to certify it and sign it so they can review and accept it. Once this form is accepted, you're completely done. Now you can use this AdSense account for your channels and actually get paid. Lastly, let's go over the legal and tax requirements when running an LLC as a non-resident. As a foreign business owner with a Wyoming LLC, you won't owe US federal income tax on your business profits by default. Your LLC is what is called a disregarded entity for tax purposes, which means the income passes through to you as the owner. You only report this income under income tax based on your local tax rules. So here's an example to make that clear. Let's say I make $10,000 of profit through my US LLC with AdSense. I don't pay any tax in the US, instead I declare this as personal income in the Netherlands. But even though you don't pay any tax in the US, you will need to file an annual information return with the IRS called Form 5472. This is just an informational filing, you're not necessarily paying taxes, but you're reporting your business activity. This filing is quite important, and the penalty for not filing is $25,000. I already have a video exactly about all these filing requirements when running an LLC, and I know it sounds scary now, but trust me, it's really simple. Now before we wrap up, let's cover some of the most commonly asked questions. First, can you use a non-US passport or ID to verify your AdSense account? And I cannot stress this enough, the answer is absolutely yes. With an LLC, if you're a foreigner, you can verify the account with your local ID card or passport. You can also do this if you already have an existing AdSense account, if you have an AdSense account that got disabled, or if you had channels that got demonetized. It does not matter. Alright, so that is everything you need to know to set up a US LLC, get an AdSense, and get paid as a non-US resident. I've left links to everything you need, to Northwest for the LLC, to the SMS receiver, to the banks I recommend, and some additional resources regarding compliance. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. I'll try to reply to as many as possible. With that said, have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.